Hello, thanks for looking in on this video. Imagine one day you go and knock on this door of a house, a nondescript house in a nondescript estate. You knock on the door and this woman answers, and she absolutely appears petrified that there's a man at the front door. She starts trembling, visibly trembling like a leaf, shaking. Tears start to come to her eyes. And she looks like she's going to be sick. She's going to be vomiting at any moment. How would that make you feel? I experienced this and it made me feel terrible that the presence of a man had this terrible effect on a vulnerable woman. The door I just knocked on was the house. It was, in fact, a women's refuge. I was going there by pre-arranged appointment. I had an appointment to meet the manager of the refuge, but unfortunately, one of the people who was seeking refuge and staying at the house answered the door. And I later went in and had quite a long chat with the manager of the refuge about the work that they do there, and she told me about many of the experiences that the women go through who are staying at the refuge. And it absolutely, to be honest with you, I found the whole experience quite upsetting. It's really quite sad, really, that so many people experience abuse like this within relationships. Statistics probably underestimate, but on the internet it states that 1 in 4 women experience domestic abuse in their lifetime, and 1 in 5 men, 42% of all domestic abuse are reported to be men. The number of people that die as a result of domestic abuse is horrendous. It's stated that 1 woman is killed by a partner or ex every 5 days in England and Wales. In the year ending 2024, 83 women are said to have been killed by male partners or ex-partners, and 25 male victims killed. And very high numbers, even higher numbers of women commit suicide than are killed, according to latest statistics produced last year by the police. In April last year, they said that more women commit suicide than are killed as a result of domestic abuse. And what I find absolutely horrendous is that 1 in 3 women experience abuse during their pregnancies. I mean, pregnancy is a very special time. It should be a wonderful, nurturing and consolidating time in a loving relationship. But for so many women to experience abuse, for me, is just awful. And it's incredible to think that it's not getting better, as far as we can tell. And I would have thought in my lifetime that we would make more progress towards tackling this problem, and that there'd be less incidents of it. And I would have thought that attitudes were improving. But online abuse, it stated that 2 out of 3 women, 62% of young women aged between 18 and 34 experience online abuse. It's so bad, isn't it? It's awful. And recently I watched a programme on television about Arlene Fraser, who was killed by her ex. And it really, it's a documentary, BBC documentary, and there's 2 episodes, and it takes you through the long saga of the prosecution and the appeals, and it just went on and on for years. And I really feel for for the victims and the victim's family, her parents and her sister, and not least the children. You know, for children to experience this must be absolutely awful. A huge red flag for me was the car outside the house had been burnt out, and apparently it wasn't realised, but it been done deliberately. And it's a huge, you know, as a probation officer, I know that it's a huge red flag that anybody who commits arson is a very, very serious offender and is at very high risk of committing another serious offence. Um, so that documentary is exceptionally salutary, and I really recommend people have a look at it. When you look at abuse by profession, it's incredible, but apparently across the world, it's not just in the UK, but police families do have quite a high number of abuse, domestic abuse going on within police families. Said that about 40% of police families experience abuse, as do military families. I think over the years, massive progress has been made uh, in the equality between men and women. In my lifetime, certainly, you know, when I was young, you didn't get many female doctors, but now more women are qualifying as GPs and doctors. Architects used to be all exclusively men, but now more women are coming through, and I think it's nearly 50-50. And equal pay has been on the table slowly but surely. Appears to be, you know, there seems to be a bit more equality towards pay. We're still not there yet, but we're still working towards it. But sadly, I think there's still quite a lot of abuse carrying on, which seems odd, doesn't it? And doesn't seem right. And there's such a prevalence of it. And as a society, we really need to tackle this. I think, in my experience, men that are abusive do tend to be very insecure. They tend to be quite old-fashioned with the gender roles, and stress seems to be a big factor, and economic problems as well seems to be an aggravating feature. But and I think mental health is a massive issue as well. But I think as a society, we need to learn more about respecting towards each other in the relationships, avoid abuse, and it's like a rites of passage. At school, perhaps we need to focus more on practical things and relationships rather than just academia. And I know vicars years ago used to have couples in for chats before they got married, but maybe it's a rites of passage. Young people need more support, particularly between 18 and the ages of 25. Often we make mistakes at that age and things go wrong. Mental health is a huge problem, and it's stress related, and we need more support towards mental health and things like that. But I really think that we need to focus more about learning how to behave appropriately in relationships, mutual respect, working as a team. And, you know, it should be a rite of passage in the UK rather than just ignoring it. And we need to look out for each other more. And if we suspect or hear abusive language going on, we need to report it. Quite recently, I was out delivering a parcel in my local area, and I heard somebody shouting, a terrible argument, and I heard abuse going on. And this woman was shouting, "You just want to control me, you know, you're being abusive," and all this. So I phoned the police, and I went round the corner and carried on delivering. When I turned back, the police had arrived, and I was pleased about that perhaps years ago the police wouldn't have bothered, but they went there really quickly and treated it seriously. And I was worried about this violent argument going on that I overheard. But I think many public would just sort of ignore it or not report it. But quite rightly, you know, it is right when you hear loud and threatening behaviour like that. it should be reported. Anyway, all the best, but let's be more solution focused and let's try and reduce all this domestic abuse that's been going on. It's far too high in the UK, and we need to start learning young on avoiding it and how to work as a team in relationships and work as a respectful team. Anyway, all the very best now. Thank you. Bye bye.